So let's get started. Today we're actually going to be discussing my very first case for this podcast. It's one covered by many, but this is my first time actually delving in and doing some research of my own. And we're going to be covering the disappearance of Bryce Laspisa today. So this case, I first heard about it, I want to say back in 2013, at least that's what it felt like, but after looking up when I saw it, it wasn't until actually 2016. It was on the show Disappeared. Love that show, great show. I think they do a really good job at covering missing persons cases, and the narrator's good, love the guy. So I first heard about his case then, and I couldn't really remember much detail. I vaguely remembered him traveling home to visit his parents and just not making it. I remember something about his car being found, but I wasn't really sure about the details. Wasn't sure if he had ever been found, if there was an end to this case. I just couldn't really remember. So I decided to do some research of my own and find out what happened. And I found a lot. I know this case has been covered by plenty of other podcasts. I know there's plenty of articles. It's been on plenty of TV shows, YouTube, you name it. But this is going to be essentially my account of the events that happened based on what I read and what I've seen and what I researched. I'll have all my notes and photos and sources posted on my website, where you will also be able to look up any other podcasts or blogs that I have up on there. My website is www.vanishinghourpodca.wixsite, wixsite.com/snow. Very long, I know. But it was free, so winning. But let's dive in here. So Bryce was born April 30th, 1994 to Karen and Michael. He was raised in the suburbs of Chicago, Illinois, and he was an only child. There isn't much else that could easily be found about his early childhood, but by all accounts it looked like it was a pretty normal, pretty happy, pretty healthy childhood. Where his story kind of starts taking shape is high school and beyond. So he attended Naperville Central High School and was interested in sports there. He played football and baseball, and he graduated in 2012. Now, right around this time is when his parents retired, both of them, and had made the decision to move to Southern California. They ended up in the coastal town of Laguna Niguel. Personally, I've been there, familiar with the area. It's really beautiful. It's a good neighborhood. It's right next to the beach. A little on the more expensive side, but I love the place. It's located about 30 miles south of Los Angeles, just to give you an idea of where it's at. But that's where they decided to move. Now, I couldn't find any information as to why, but Bryce had chosen to attend his freshman year at Sierra Community College. And Sierra Community College is actually located in Northern California, like 500 miles north. It's roughly 25 miles north of Sacramento. Again, just to give you an idea of where it's at. I'm not 100% sure why, but that was his college of choice, and he enrolled and he attended his freshman year there. Everything I read said he had a pretty great freshman year. He started dating his girlfriend, Kim Sly, during his freshman year. He made tons of friends and was just excelling in both his social life and his scholastic life. So Had a great freshman year. He was pursuing his interests of graphic and industrial design. He had already acquired like quite a portfolio for himself for being at such like a young age. Couldn't really locate any photos of his work, but by all accounts, it sounds like he was good at what he was interested in doing. So fast forward through his freshman year, great, everything worked out very successfully. And now we come to the summer of 2013. So it's summer vacation, he's taking his break from his schooling, and he decides, you know what, I'm going to head back to Laguna Niguel and spend my summer break with my mom and dad. So he heads back down to Laguna and spends essentially his summer there. Now, he didn't 100% take a break from school. Looks like he actually decided to enroll at a local community college in Laguna and took an English class there to essentially just get ahead of the game, kind of, not, I'm assuming not to get lazy and kind of like fall out of like the routine that you have going. Honestly, that shows a lot of proactiveness and eagerness to succeed, and like, good for him. Like, the more the merrier, in my opinion. So he enrolled for that English class, and he was taking it while he was spending the summer with his parents. So 2 weeks prior to the start of Bryce's sophomore year at Sierra Community College, he says goodbye to his parents, and he heads back up north to Rockland. Upon his arrival, though, a lot of Bryce's close friends had started noticing quite a change in his behavior or something. They just weren't sure where it was coming from, and it was completely out of character. A lot of people said that he had started increasing the amounts of hard alcohol and prescription drug use that he was doing, which, by the way, was completely out of the ordinary for him. This was not something that he did on a regular basis by any means. His friends did confront him about their worries and concerns over his outlandish behavior. However, it seems like Bryce kind of just like played it off. It was like, look, I think you guys are kind of worrying a little too much here. He didn't confide in them about anything troubling him or hint at any sort of possible stressors he was dealing with, and ultimately he kind of just shrugged off their concerns while continuing on with this erratic behavior. So we're going to get into kind of the timeline of the days leading up to his disappearance. So Tuesday, August 26, 2013 was the start of the fall semester and the start of Bryce's sophomore year. He had signed up and attended both a speech class and a web design class earlier that day, and that evening he called and updated Karen, his mom, on how they went. According to her, Bryce told her he really enjoyed the classes, and overall he sounded generally excited and optimistic about it. Karen described this conversation as completely normal, with nothing seeming off or alarming in any way to her. So, typical, catching up with her son, he's telling her how his day went, and, nothing, red flags, nothing like that, completely normal. So, the following events are kind of pieced together from several different sources. I'll try my best to kind of iron them out as best as possible. But this is where, minute details kind of start changing up a little bit, at least in the articles that I was reading. But the general consensus thus far is that Bryce's behavior since returning to Rockland is less than normal, to say the least. He's drinking excessively, and hard liquor at that. It's not just like he's popping beers like, a college student would. No, this was hard alcohol. One account even said that he would go through bottles during the weekend, which I think even for some of the most seasoned alcoholics, That's a little rough. Um, Different sources stated that both his roommate, Sean Dixon, and his girlfriend, Kim, were at some point made aware of Bryce's abuse of Vyvanse, which, researching, it's a prescription narcotic, reacts kind of similarly like meth does to the human body, and Bryce was using it along with potentially another unnamed friend. One article said there was somebody else he was using with, but no names were ever given or anything like that. But essentially, Bryce and maybe and somebody were using it to stay up late and play video games, and were drinking alcohol during the day and trying to essentially fight sleep and stay awake all day. Which, on some level, totally get. Like, sometimes it just feels like there's not enough hours in the day to just get shit done. But definitely pills are, not the way to go. One source stated that on August 28th, Sean called Karen and expressed his concerns regarding Bryce's behavior and how Bryce had just broken up with Kim the night before via text message stating that she would be better off without him. Now, that's never, a good sign. It's never a good thing to hear, at least in my opinion. Whenever somebody says, oh, you'd be better off without me, alarm bells are just fucking going off in my head immediately. I need to get to this person. Another source states that on August 26th, Bryce, in fact, broke up with Kim via text, stating the same thing. Either way, Bryce did break up with Kim literally out of nowhere sometime between August 26th and August 28th. Again, just was not completely clear on if it was the 26th or the 28th or whatever the case may be. But we're going to skip up to August 28th now. So at about 1 p.m. on August 28th, 2013, Karen speaks to her son on the phone, where he states that he is in fact planning to break up with Kim. He doesn't really give any reason why, and honestly, Karen's just a little confused because she's like, well, what the hell? I thought things were going great. Everything seems fine, and you never really mentioned anything about this before. Again, Karen says, Bryce seemed completely calm and rational about this situation. He didn't seem hyper emotional or just really worked up and just out of sorts. She said he seemed normal, but he was just stating it matter-of-factly. So about 2 p.m. rolls around, and Bryce sends a text to his roommate, Sean, who also happens to be a really close friend of his. And quite frankly, this just gives me the chills, and again would send more alarm bells off in my head. He says to Sean, I love you, bro, seriously. You are the best person I've ever met. You've saved my soul. Huh? What are you trying to say here? The world's not ending, so why are you sending me something like this? That's what I would be thinking. Most sources say that Bryce then breaks up with Kim via text, stating, again, she would be better off without him. Later in the evening, for unclear reasons, Bryce drives to Kim's home in Chico, which is about an hour and a half north of Rockland. During this visit, there appears to be some sort of exchange of words, and Kim expresses her concerns about Bryce's recent erratic behavior and the drinking, and is just what's going on with you, dude? Even as they are speaking, she's just look, it's you're not yourself. You seem to be intoxicated or on something. I'm not sure what this is, but she takes his keys and she asks him to please just sleep it off. You can head home in the morning when you've kind of cooled off and are back to your normal self. Well, this doesn't go over well with Bryce at all. Some say that Bryce called his mom, Karen, and others said